When he was just getting his foot in the music industry's door, Usher spent a year living with Puff. Usher opened up about his experience in a 2016 interview with Howard Stern, and although he made it sound like a blast, he did hint at something more disturbing beneath the surface. He said that he didn't understand what he was even looking at, and very curious things were taking place. Perhaps the most telling, Usher made it clear that he wouldn't want his descendants attending Puffy Camp like he did. Regardless, Usher's protege, Justin Bieber, would once spend 48 hours with Puff, unchaperoned. It may be just speculation, but a fake phone number that Bieber later gave Puff now reads like a cry for help. After being fired from Hot 97 in 1998, Wendy Williams accused Puff of playing a role in all of that. In 2004, Williams wrote that she would never forget the hell that he put her through. On a 2015 episode of her show, she commented on the allegations that Cassie Ventura was hiding from him, and she painted him as a mogul that you can't escape. That same year, Williams asked Jennifer Lopez if she'd ever get back together with him, and Lopez's mother, Guadalupe Rodriguez, basically answered for her daughter with a look that said everything. Aubrey O'Day alleged that Puff groomed her and controlled her appearances while filming Making the Band when she was around 21 years old. The former Danity Kane songstress recently got candid about the criticism that she faced while working on the MTV reality series alongside Puff, who was an executive producer on the show. She said, "I look at the beginning of the show, and I was auditioning, and I'm so young, and I'm like, I don't know how I became like the really gorgeous-faced one," she said on an appearance of the Crisis Queen podcast. Puff is on camera saying how much he hates it, but he's off camera telling me all the ways I need to be groomed properly, like down to my toenails. Yeah, one day, apparently, the rapper was like, "Yeah, you're the looker of the band," but sent her out of the studio in the same day because her toes weren't properly polished. And she said a lot of this was a part of the cycle of harm. She said, "With Puff, I saw multiple sides of him, but I don't know who I was even talking to that was sober. There was always an element of something going on." O'Day claimed Puff once forbid her from being friends with a certain very big name person whom he was also involved with. And she said that was the first time he had kind of said, "You're not allowed to be around that person ever again." And oof. She's like, and that was the first time I started to see the dynamics change with just how he approached me on camera. So like I mentioned before, she was part of Danity Kane until 2008, and then she was booted for not doing what was expected of her. But she said that wasn't talent-wise, that was in other areas. She said after coming off of Puff, there's not many people you can go into a room with and get that type of feeling from. Kind of cryptic, but okay. And she's mentioned that like grooming is a process. You're not just harmed on day one. Groomers make their victims feel comfortable before flipping a switch. She said it's like the military. They break you down and build you back up into the soldier that they need you to be for what they need you for. Now, Puff allegedly tried to buy her silence by offering her publishing rights back in 2023, but allegedly she declined the deal. Cassie Ventura was in a relationship with Puff from 2007 till 2018, and there were the signs of trouble in paradise. In 2015, Cassie posted a photo with the caption, "How I sleep knowing that I'm single and nobody's cheating on me." And then the next year, it was reported that the two were seen arguing in Beverly Hills. 5 years after their final breakup, Cassie filed a lawsuit against Puff. The lawsuit specifically accuses him of all kinds of violence, harm, harassment, discrimination, hostile work environment, and other things I can't talk about. And although he denied these claims, the lawsuit would be settled out of court. But that's not the end. Then there was footage from 2016 that hit the surface of the news, depicting Puff kind of harming Ventura. He issued an apology, but a lot of folks have been supporting Cassie, rightfully so. His attorney, Ben Brafman, said in a statement that Puff vehemently denies these offensive and outrageous allegations. For the past 6 months, he has been subjected to Cassie's persistent demand of $30 million, under the threat of writing a damaging book about the relationship, which was unequivocally rejected as blatant blackmail. Despite withdrawing her initial threat, Ms. Ventura has now resorted to filing a lawsuit riddled with baseless and outrageous lies, aiming to tarnish his reputation and seeking a payday. Well, when it came to what Cassie had to say about it, she kept it professional. "We will always support law enforcement when it seeks to prosecute those that have violated the law." That was it. Hopefully this is the beginning of a process that will hold Puff responsible for his depraved conduct. A week after Puff's arrest earlier this year, actress Mollen revealed that she was once invited to one of the music mogul's freak-offs when she was actually under the legal drinking age in the States. She said, "I was in San Diego and this guy came over and he's like, 'My boss wants to meet you.' And she was just like hanging out. She was in jeans, a t-shirt. She eventually went over, met Puff, and she joked that he had the littlest hand she's ever felt. And then allegedly he invited her up to his room for a party and she declined. And then she's like, 'Guys, would I have been in a freak off? Would I have been like captured in his room? And would there be footage of me to this day in some sort of crazy exploitative freak off?' Katt Williams predicted Puff's downfall during an appearance on the Club Shay Shay podcast in January of this year. She said all of these deviants is catching all hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. Doesn't matter who you is, Pastor TD, Jigs, any of them. Williams also claimed to have invited to several of Puff's infamous parties over the years, but always declined. He said, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times just to protect my integrity and that something that hasn't been violated that I was telling you about. Because Puff be wanting to party and you gotta tell him no. He repeated, like, you gotta tell him no. I did. See, I got the receipts for everything. I'm telling you. That's why I can say them so freely. While Puff has faced numerous accusations throughout the years, Rodney, or Lil Rod Jones, was among the first to take serious legal action, contributing to the mogul's current circumstances. Jones was a producer on the Love album, Off the Grid, and according to Jones, he endured many things that went far beyond his role as a producer. Jones alleged that Puff repeatedly groped him and made him participate in unwanted activities, and that included having to work in the bathroom while Puff showered. What's more, Jones claimed that he once woke up nude in bed with Puff and 2 professionals after being slipped something, and his lawsuit also implicates Puff's son, Justin Dior, and Chief of Staff Christina Coram, the latter of whom was also accused of grooming. Former bad boy artist Mase, who has feuded with Puff for many years over money and the rights to his music, referenced the raids on Puff's house earlier this year on an episode of his podcast, It Is What It Is. When his co-host, Cameron, asked how the Harlem World rapper was doing, Mase responded, I'm good, man. Reparations is getting closer and closer. I'll be sure to give you your percentage. For context on the feuds, the Welcome Back rapper and his former boss's conflict extends back decades, with both parties claiming that the other owed them money. In 2020, Mase alleged that he faced difficulties regaining his publishing from Puff, and he did not properly receive these rights until 2023. Brutal! Curtis James Jackson III, aka 50 Cent, is another big name who's had some stuff to say about Puff. Now, this all started back in 2006 with a diss track that alleged that Puff's was connected to the death of Biggie Smalls. In October 2023, though, 50 Cent elaborated on his beef with Puff, describing his parties as uncomfortable. During his final lap tour, 50 Cent said Puff would hug you from the front and the back at the same time. And 50 Cent has been even more vocal about Puff following the raid on his homes earlier this year. It's also been reported that 50 Cent sold a docuseries to Netflix entitled Did He Do It? Speaking of which, 50 Cent has also claimed that Puff got Tupac killed. Again, there isn't much backing this up, although Tupac was also skeptical of Puff. Speaking with Vibe magazine back in 1995, Tupac was asked if he thought Puff was connected to the previous year, the first incident, and he didn't hold back. He was like, I believe so, adding that it's between me and him and only he knows. Well, a year later, Tupac was involved in another awful event, this one proving fatal, and Dwan Keefe D. Davis, who was arrested for Tupac's death in 2023, once said that Puff offered $1 million to carry out the killing. Whether or not Puff was involved, these words paint the portrait of a not-so-great man. And that's all for today, folks. See ya!